Dr. Earle Williams II is a Christian clinical psychologist with over 20 years of professional experience. Born in Newport News, Virginia, Dr. Williams was raised and educated in Boston, Massachusetts, where he earned a doctorate of psychology clinical degree from the Massachusetts School of Professional Psychology. At the University of Virginia, Dr. Williams earned certification in forensic psychology with advanced training in forensics evaluation from the Institute of Law, Psychiatry, and Public Policy. Dr. Williams has taught as an adjunct faculty professor at the College of Women Married. He is presently a full-time associate professor at Hampton University. As a consultant to the Barry Robinson Child and Family Guidance Clinic, Dr. Williams performed psychological testing, and family psychotherapy for children, adolescents, and adults. After leaving this position, he worked as a consulting psychologist at Christian Psychotherapy Services. In his private practice, he offers forensic evaluations on criminal defendants for circuit court as well as juvenile and domestic relations court. For Wavy TV 10, an NBC affiliate, Dr. Williams has illustrated different personality constellations of criminals as a criminal profiler. He appeared on the Health Watchers program describing various psychological conditions and points of interest, such as bullying behaviors of adolescents and positive psychology. Dr. Williams is the author of 2 books, Psychological from Scripture and 100 Facts of Life. He has also written 7 training manuals relating to various behavior disorders and instructed numerous workshops for private and public organizations in the United States and Canada. Without further ado, please help me to welcome Dr. Earle Williams.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. Like you said, my name is Dr. Earle Williams. I'm a forensic clinical psychologist from Boston, Massachusetts. And so I like to tell you that in front so people won't say, how come he talks like that? How come he says ha? Didn't they say that he was born in Newport News? Well, yeah, that's where I started, and now I'm back. I was asked to speak today about a particular topic. They said, Earle, we want you to talk about redemption, and so I wanted to get it right, because when I step to people, I want to come correct. So I figured I'd go to the dictionary, and look up redemption. So we're all on the same page. I don't want anyone after my little presentation here saying he didn't say nothing about redemption. I didn't hear no redemption in here. So here is redemption. Redemption, according to the dictionary, buy back, free from captivity, free from penalties of sin, to change for the better, to remove obligation, to make good, to buy back, to restore oneself to favor by making amends. That's redemption. Okay, so anyway, I was trying to think of how I wanted to present this, because I want to present this in a way that everyone can kind of, not just understand and hear the words I'm trying to say, but kind of feel what I'm feeling, so that you can kind of walk in my shoes a little bit. Now, we have had some excellent speakers. I mean, really, really good, so this is really a hard act to follow, but I'm going to do the best I can. Now, the best way I can kind of get you to kind of understand some of what I want to get across to you is to tell you a little bit about myself. Now, usually when I do presentations, I have my PowerPoint and I have a script, but I'm not talking from a script today. I'm really trying to talk from my heart. you know. Usually when I talk from a script, and you know, because I do presentations on increasing happiness, you know, how to be happily married. I talk about things like, you know, to teachers, you know, and to school personnel, like the gentleman said that introduced me so well, about ADHD and conduct disorder, and I've written manuals on all of these things, the treatment of adolescent sex offenders and stuff like that, you know. And I want you to know that, and I'm going to tell you a little story about me, and I'm not telling you this to make you feel bad or to get your sympathy. I want to tell you this because I want you to know what can go wrong in a black man's life. And I want you to know what can go right in a black man's life. You know, now I'm a professor at Hampton University. I've only been doing it 6 years. You know, and I noticed that when I have a class of about 45 students, maybe 5 of them will be men. You know, and it's like that with all of my classes. You know, I'll have 40 girls and 3 or 4 boys, guys, men, young men. You know, and so, you know, if you want to know where the rest of them are, if you want to know, I'm going to tell you where they are, you know, because where they are is where I come from. They're in prison. They're in prison. Now, when I was growing up in Roxbury, which is kind of like the black part of Boston, I was kind of, you know, my parents were kind of middle class, and my father was a plumber, and both of my parents were college educated. My mother was from Denver, Colorado. She was born on a Navajo reservation, and my father was from Atlanta, you know, and so I came from a 2-parent, intact, middle class, working family, you know. And during my life, I never got in trouble, you know. As a matter of fact, I was raised as a Catholic. My father was a Baptist, my mother was a Catholic, you know, and so I would do the Catholic thing sometime and the Baptist thing other times, you know. But I figure that's all right because my allegiance really is only to God.
That's right.
I don't really have a whole lot of allegiance to a particular church because churches are man-made. They come, they go, you know. I mean, they're nice, and I'm not complaining about them. And I ain't trying to, you know, start no trouble. Any reverence up in here, you know. But I'm just saying, you know, that's just where I'm coming from, you know. And so, you know, when I went to school, I went to Holy Cross Cathedral High School, and I was 12 years old when I started high school. I was 12, you know, and I was the only black. I was the only black, which was okay, you know, and so that's probably why I talk like this, because it's kind of that Irish Catholic thing I got working here, you know, because I think I have more of a Bostonian accent than a lot of my friends that I grew up with that were not at the Holy Cross Cathedral High School with me. And so, anyway, that's kind of the way I grew up, and things were sort of moving along, and I was kind of doing all right, you know, and then when I got up to a certain age, you know, and graduated from high, and by the way, I didn't get a whole lot of, you know, support along the way, you know. I mean, they had told my mother I was mentally retarded when I was in kindergarten. My father told me when I was a senior in high school that I'm too stupid to finish school, that I should drop out and get a job. Now, having said that, you know, that's the way fathers talked back then. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that he didn't love me.
Right.
It's the way they talked back then. It's just like getting beaten, so I got beat all the time. I mean, but that's just the way it was back then. You know, you gonna call who? I don't think so. So anyway, you know, I'm kind of going along, and so I'm 16 years old. I'm a senior in high school, and my high school home teacher, the nun, says, "Earle, any cause that accepts you is hard up." You know, so I'm just saying these things to tell you that I just didn't get a lot of support and encouragement along the way. You know, and there's a lot of us that don't.
That's right.
There's a lot of us that don't. You know, I mean, you say, well, Dr. Earle Williams, what can you tell me about doing badly? You're driving a brand new Cadillac and you've got a nice big house, and all those things are true, but I got pain. See? I got pain, I got pain where it doesn't show. I got pain that you can't see, I got pain. I've got emotional scars that you have no idea is happening to me. Just like a whole lot of you got, because we all have emotional scars, And I think sometimes it's okay to tell people about your emotional scars, especially if you're talking to someone that is scarred up and doesn't know what to do, so that they can know that you too had to go through some stuff. That hasn't been a glass staircase for you either. So anyway, my father signed me up for the Air Force. He signed me up. It was his idea. It was not my idea. And so he's driving me to Logan Airport in his raggedy car, for which he had no pride whatsoever. He was a plumber. He was a plumber by trade, But my father was also a music conductor, and he began the Boston Orchestra and Chorale. He had a master's degree in music from BU, But, and he had a degree from Tuskegee, along with my mother, that he had met there, but couldn't get a job in Boston as a teacher that would pay enough to support him, because that's the way it was back in the